It's Milo, and you are watching me play video games. Oh, they do credit Callisto. Interesting. Um, this is the last week of a no platformer November, and today I'm playing. Whoopsie, sorry. Today I'm playing a couple of Game Boy Color racing games. Starting with New York Race. Now, French is the default, and that's because this is based on the French, kind of French-ish film, The Fifth Element by Luc Besson, who is French. I think they call it a French co-production. I don't really know how it works, but anyway, it's set in America and they speak English, for what that's worth. Yeah, you can actually see on the top of so I've got the box art for this game on the left, and above the title it says inspired by The Fifth Element. So I don't know why they're sort of trying to distance themselves from it. I guess because it doesn't actually feature any characters from the film, although having said that, the console version on PS2 and computer definitely has likenesses of film characters representing the different races. Anyway, yes please, I would like, wait, okay, so I choose between music and engine. Let's go with music. We don't want to miss out on these nice little chip tunes, do we? I do need help, actually. Oh, this should be interesting. Why don't I go to the credits? Okay, so that's like publisher stuff. Because what I found out when I was looking up this game is it's basically made by one person, or at least the company that's credited for developing it consists of one person in terms of development. But then, and that would be Gilles Espèche, who did programming, game design, and sound effects. I wonder when we're actually going to get to that. Yeah, Cylogic. That's the company, and it's all this guy. But he had on contract Philippe Desolé to do graphics, as well as some other people. Fifth Race team doesn't. Oh, that's interesting. Fifth Race. That must have been the original name of the project before it was called New York Race. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, Philippe Desolé. We know him, of course, for Mr. Nuts. I mentioned him during the Battle Golf at Yui stream because he also worked on the Toki remake. Anyway. So yeah, small production, French development. Let's jump in, I guess. Yeah, so apparently you just start with the one car and you unlock more as you progress. But there's a bunch of different Futuro vehicles here. Yeah, there we go. So here's the mechanic. The central mechanic, you can go up or down. While you're up high, you go faster, but there's advantages to being down low because you can go under obstacles and also get pickups that are on the course. So it looks like we've got a sort of let's see, in terms of games like this, I haven't played too many, but what this reminds me of is some of Rare's like handheld racing games. Oops, yeah. Like the first thing I think of is the racing mode in Conker's Pocket Tales, but you know, nobody is gonna have that as their first point of reference, are they? Okay, whoever's in first has really pulled quite a far ahead, but if I remember where the obstacles are, there's not too many on this track. I don't have a mini-map. Oh, I have an item? Great. Pew pew, fireballs. Oops, I forgot about that obstacle. And there's one more coming up. Okay, now I can go back up. Yeah, you do feel the speed, don't you? Oh, there's another one. Whoops. You feel the difference between higher and lower. And it's an interesting little mechanic, especially for this 2D top-down game. By the way, I mean, these are all flying cars, clearly. The idea is that, yeah, this is a futuristic New York City where everyone flies in flying cars, and you see that in several scenes in the film. Hey, get out of here. Oh. The other car was on a different plane, so I missed all my shots, and now I run out. What's the red square? Invincibility? Okay, maybe. So, yeah, I really like The Fifth Element. I watched it pretty recently and was reminded of how fun it is. It's quite, you know, it's got a lot of jokes and stuff as well as being a sci-fi action film. And I really enjoy it. Oh geez, I think I'm still in second. Yeah, so we finished in second place. What does that mean? By the way, all the games I'm playing today, I mentioned New York Race and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer in the announcement, but I'll also be, if there's time, trying out San Francisco Rush 2049 and Cruis'n Exotica, those being the only other racing games with a futuristic theme on the Game Boy Color that I could find. I checked the Game Boy original as well, the old DMG, but okay, so this will be where we choose cars from our garage, but we don't have any other cars. Yeah, I couldn't find any with that particular theme. There's a lot more realistic-ish racing sims. So what else is available? Cute little pod car. Trapezoidal truck. Oh, that's it, I guess. Maybe more will appear in this menu as we progress, but we also don't have enough money for any of them. Yeah, the taxi very much modeled after Corbin Dallas's taxi from the film. That's his job, Bruce Willis's job in the film. Yeah, Gibbon agrees. It's a fun film. It's really good, actually. Okay, so we got 2 pods. That's who beat us last time, I guess. One of them fell behind, and then one went ahead. Hang on a second. They didn't show me a map of the course, did they? And there's no... Yeah, I've tried all the buttons now, so there's no way to see a map. You just have to react to bends as they come up. Luckily, those markings on the ground below sometimes will help us out. Oops. I was trying to get a little boost, but you end up losing more time if you run into something. Corbin Dallas multipass. Okay. Ah, see. There's going to be a U-turn. Whoa, boy. Okay. Yeah, so all the games I'm playing today, all 4 of them, also, in addition to being futuristic racing games on the JVC. Oh, that arrow! That arrow helps me too. Okay. So if I'm up, it indicates where I should be going as well as the marks on the road. And it also tells me when I go down. Okay, I'll definitely pay more attention to that arrow, I think. Very useful arrow. Yeah, so I mentioned that, you know, it's kind of a theme day. We've got 4 things to play. I don't know how much time I was spending on each of them. But the other thing that makes them a group together is that they're all handheld versions of games that were otherwise released on other platforms, which is often the case with a lot of Game Boy Color stuff. Of course, there are a lot of original titles, but there's also a lot of handheld accompanying ports, although they're not ports, they never are they? I think the only example of an actual port would be like that version of Resident Evil where they completely downscaled every single pre-rendered background. I don't know if that one was actually released or if it was just a tech demo, but pretty impressive work either way. unless it's a port of a previous generation's game, like say Super Mario Deluxe was a port of Super Mario Brothers 1. Not a good port. It had a lot of fun extra features, but just playing the actual game was not as good an experience because of the screen size. They just, yeah, you've got less space to see, and that's always a big issue with platformers when they're ported to different systems. You have just won your first championship challenge. Win one more race and you'll be promoted to Division 3. Cool. We have some more cash. How much was that mini? Yes, I'm into this. Let's buy it. Less shield, but that's okay. Haven't really needed it too much so far. Oh, whoops. Let's quickly go to the garage to pick the mini. Looks a bit weird. Looks maybe like a skull from above. I guess we have to win this race to advance. Okay. Now there's 3 minis in this race. It's okay, it should handle better than the cab, I guess. Oh. That pickup was actually on the upper plane. I like the little sprite graphics in this game, and every car has 2 different, you know, sizes, states that it is in. Pew, pew, pew. Looks like you can shoot that as many times as you want as long as that's active. As soon as you fire the first shot, then it becomes active. It's kind of like the golden mushroom in Mario Kart 64. As soon as you activate it, it starts like a timer, and you could use it as many times as you want in that time period. Yeah. Don't know where first place is. Fire wildly. I'm sure there was some kind of homing shot. I think I used it in the last race. I guess the secret is just spending as much time as you can in the upper plane. Because once again, I'm in second place. I'm far behind first, apparently. Where are you? Yeah, I did a quick check of a, you know, like a Let's Play video for the console version of this game to see what it was like, and of course it's much more 3D. You have free control over going up and down as you fly through city streets and such. Pretty interesting looking stuff. But yeah, the one thing I noticed was those mugshots I mentioned where they use likenesses of characters from the film. It's like military people who recruit Corbin. The mugger who tries to stick him up at his door and has a fake photo on his head, you know? Yeah. If you've seen the film, very memorable scenes. I think Plava Laguna, the diva, was actually one of the characters too, which is interesting. But what I noticed was that none of the main characters were there. It was all sort of side characters and minor characters. You didn't have Zorg, you didn't have Lilu. Or even Cornelius. Yeah, I guess we'll have to try again. Gibbon says the Game Boy version is pretty neat. Yeah, I like it so far. I'm hanging out to see some more variety if I manage to progress further. But yeah, this is definitely a style of game. Like I said, Rare did a lot of things like this, but lots of other companies did too in terms of racing games. The top-down, kind of moving around with you, and you change the orientation of your car, but the world is always the same orientation. I don't know. I don't know what the most famous example of this is. It's not quite... maybe Micro Machines, unless that was isometric. I'm struggling to remember now. I used to play that at my neighbor's house a fair bit. Well, that was interesting. Did you see the parallax back there? One of those pickups. There was a different pickup both on the upper and lower plane at the same location. All right, I'm in the lead, aren't I? That's good. If we can keep it, then we'll just have to do the race. That's normal, which I've done 3 times now. Well, this is the 3rd. Dang, that arrow swings wildly. Ooh. Oh, I've never got that before. So if you're on the upper plane, you get a double X. What does it do? Ooh. Double X. I think it increased my speed. Yeah, a bit of a boost. That's nice. Don't know why it's double, but okay. Speaking of Clava Laguna, you remember her, the opera singer on the cruise ship? It always seemed like they were completely ripping off the Twi'leks in Star Wars to me. Blue! Oh yeah, that's the mines. I'm going into a lot of these games today with very little knowledge of the console versions, so I wonder how much of the items are replicated from them. I just don't have time to learn about them all, you know. I kind of on purpose try and learn not too much about the game that I'm going to play, so that I'm getting like real-time honest reactions kind of thing. Cool, so that's first place. Given saying the director Luc Besson was inspired by Valerian actually, which in turn Star Wars also ripped off, so similar source material. Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if Valerian had a blue lady with tentacle hair. Congratulations, you've won all the heats in this division. After such a stunning season, you've been promoted to the next division up. Nice. So there's seasons and heats and divisions. It all seems very official, and yet we have different kinds of cars and taxis even competing against each other, which makes it feel like a sort of illegal street race kind of thing. So what are they going for here? What is the idea? I don't know. Didn't read the manual. Alright, Chinatown. Let's do that. I assume the real New York has a Chinatown. Pretty sure it does. I remember going there in Lego Marvel Superheroes, where the hub is New York City. One of my favorite hubs. Just because you can fly around it and there's lots of things to do. I really like the Lego superhero games because there's a lot of larger-than-life characters who have bombastic powers, especially flight, which makes getting around fun. Wow, everyone's really clumped up in this race. Oops. Ooh. Ah, nuts. No, no. Okay, just stay down for that portion. By the way, I've fixed all my technical issues. Well, I've found ways to get around them. Oh gosh, have I crashed too many times? My car is desperately smoking. That's bad. Oh yeah, I blew up. Oh yeah, there's a life bar over there. 4th place, oh man. By the way, the moving between planes thing, it does use kind of a control scheme that I would be familiar with from flight sims, where down is up and up is down, as if you're tilting on a joystick, you know? Even though it's the Game Boy Color, it's a D-pad and there's only 2 planes. You press down to pull up, and push up to pull down, or whatever. Yeah, that life bar is very unobtrusive until you hit something and it expands. Sort of like the dock on your computer. I guess that's a Mac thing. Does Windows have hidden docks? Like, the what do they call it? The taskbar? Ugh. This race is really not going well. Maybe I won't spend too long in this game if I can't make progress. I'm just gonna have to redo the same things over and over again. But yeah, when it's in minimized form, the health bar is... I was gonna say it's like 1 pixel, but it might be more. The Game Boy did not have a very big display. I believe it's 144 square? That sounds a bit wrong, but I don't... It's around that. Might not actually be square. Oh, no, it is. Guess I don't have such a great memory for numbers. Oh no, I'm gonna blow up again. Better use this power up before it goes away. Oh, I've completely lost all my opponents. Ew. So the specific scene in the film that these games are sort of trading on is the part where Corbin Dallas is evading the police with his car and flying through the streets, dodging and weaving. Very good effects sequence. Gibbons says this is actually giving him some heavy F-Zero vibes. Interesting. Yeah. In terms of me crashing and exploding, yes, I remember that happening a lot when I played F-Zero. But if I recall correctly, every game in the series features a behind your car perspective looking forward, even the Game Boy Advance ones. Oh, well, okay, so in Nintendo Land, one of the minigames is Captain Falcon's Twister Race. That is top-down. At least when you look at the gamepad it is. The TV screen shows behind the car, I believe. Is that right? I think that's right. Good old Wii U tech demos. Asymmetric gameplay. Alright, well I didn't win that. We'll try the other 2 races that are here, and if I fail those as well, then we might try a different game. But I did want to put the focus on this game today because it was the most interesting to me, being based on Fifth Element. But, you know, yeah, if I'm just going to be playing the same races over and over and losing again and again, then I don't really want to be doing that on stream. But I will talk more about the game, I guess. Like I said, everything today is a handheld accompaniment for a console game. The console game in this case was done by Callisto Entertainment, and we did see them in the credits. They had some hand in this project in a supervisory capacity, you know, in terms of actual development. So they're a France-based company who is also responsible for... Oh my gosh! Hold on, let me just scan my notes real quick, and then it'll all be in my brain RAM. Oh yeah, so they did some games starring these little furry blob characters called, what was it, Brainies or something? Anyway, one of the installments of that, which was called Fury of the Furries, at least on some release of it, it was. In this case, furries meaning like a furry little ball creature, not an anthro, you know, someone who's into anthropomorphized animal characters. And who isn't? Come on, be serious. Yeah, but Fury of the Furries was picked up by Namco, and they converted it into a Pac-Man game called Pac-in-Time. Kind of a puzzle platformer thing, which I didn't know that game had started as something else. But there you go. Is that what they were called? Sorry. Yeah, Callisto. K-A-L-I-S-T-O. They did a bunch of other games, but they also did the actual Fifth Element tie-in game on the PlayStation and computer. And then a couple of years later they did this, I guess as a follow-up, or they still have a license, I don't really know, but it's pretty interesting that, yeah, they did the official tie-in game and then they went on and did a spin-off a bit later, so that's cool. So yeah, like I said, they did the console version, which was on PS2 and computer. But the people behind... Oh, well, we already talked about who did the Game Boy Color version, because we looked at the credits at the start. I searched Gilles Espeche's... his game history of development. Nothing really stood out to me though. Oh, this race is really going badly as well. Nuts. I was very pleased to see Philippe Desolé in the credits though. His name has come up a few times for me recently, and I'm a fan of his work. He does some good illustration. Thanks to Gibbons prompting, actually, a little while back, I was trying to research another game that he worked on. So he did Mr. Nuts, the original one, for Ocean, and because Ocean, I guess, owns the Mr. Nuts IP, because obviously they applied it to the Tim at the Flying Squirrel game to make Hoppin' Mad. Later on, he went back and I guess he wanted to do another squirrel game, so he did, and he made a unique new squirrel character who was sort of a sci-fi action squirrel with a spacesuit and ray guns and stuff. And it's called Zaps. It was released on J2ME phones in the early 2000s, although the programmer who worked on it made versions of it. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. I think it's maybe a bit too close to my voice. Yeah, the programmer also ported it to other programming languages and stuff. So there's a C++ version. Like, I think it was just programming exercises for himself, but and none of them have been made available that I could find. I even tweeted the guy about it, but he never replied. Because I really want to play this thing that's basically a Mr. Nuts successor by the same artist behind it, but I can't find a copy of it. The original Java phone version has not been archived, so I'm bummed that I can't play Zaps. Let me see. Yeah, so Gibbons saying that the specific F-Zero touch point he was referring to was the future racer with health and some sci-fi gimmick thing. Oh, hey Bominator. Good to see you, man. What's the name of it one more time? Zaps. Z-A-P-S exclamation mark. I don't have to hand the name of the... It was probably Infusio or somebody, and who published it, but I don't know the name of the program off the top of my head. But his website is really interesting, with a whole list of the stuff he's worked on presented in a really fun way, with low poly 3D models of the platform that it's on, and then a picture of it on the screen. Yes, Zaps. So I did some searching for that. I found this archive of Java phone games that have been scraped from a bunch of different shady upload sites, and even on that combined archive it was not in there, so at that point I sort of had to give up because I didn't know any other places to get those kind of games. So I just don't know how to, I contacted the guy. I feel like I've done all I can to be able to play Zaps, and all avenues have failed me. Oh well. Oh, Bob says he'll keep an eye out for it. Thanks. I appreciate it. You're a pillar of the community, Bob. And I always enjoy you on the Top 47K Games podcast too. Feels good to have Bob on your side. That's really cool. If he's looking out for Zaps, that's the best chance I have. Okay, I feel like I've fallen right behind again, but oh well. It's really odd, this game. I don't know. So, you know, there's a bunch of different vehicles that you can play as and our opponents in it. They can't all have been represented in the movie, right? Maybe they're all taken from concept art or something. But when you think of vehicles in the movie, there's the taxi, which is front and center on the box art, clearly. But really, what else? Like the cop cars. They go on a giant cruise liner later on, but in terms of personal transports, I'm struggling to think of any other ones that appear in the film. Do the bad guys have some at the start? I don't know. It's just weird to me that it's entirely set in New York, you know. It's technically a licensed game, but it's using very little of the license for its premise, which on one hand is kind of commendable in that they're expanding on something from the film and exploring, you know, it's not just an adaptation or anything. They're exploring more of that universe, but it's just odd, you know. Okay, that was really bad, but I did get a third. Bob says, don't get too excited. You've looked harder than I have, I'm sure, he says. That's possible. Yeah, I agree, Gibbon. There must be background vehicles. Like, I'm sure that truck is in the movie somewhere, and probably the Mini. Let's check our shop and see if there's anything else available. Ooh, Red Wing. See, I don't recall seeing that in the film at all. But there's plenty of scenes where he's flying around and there's tons of traffic in the background. It's just that when you think of the film, you don't think of all these designs for cars being prominent in them, you know? Or flying vehicles or that kind of thing. Right, I did say that having not made progress, I don't want to just keep playing the same tracks over and over again. So luckily we have some other games to get to, so I guess I'll flip over, even though I could have said a lot more about Fifth Element. I really like that film. But I went through all my notes on the developer, so I guess I'm satisfied. Okay, next on the futuristic racing docket. If I can swap over my screen, we'll play something else, and it's another licensed game, yeah. And I mentioned it before. Oh, look at that grainy footage. That's amazing. So this is Star Wars Episode 1, Racer. Ooh, is this Jewel of the Fates? It is. Let's turn that up. Beautiful. Yeah, baby. So I am familiar with the console version of this because I rented it back in the day on my 64. What's my name? My name is R, of course. R. That's my Star Wars name, don't you know? Oh, we got link support, entry. Oh yeah, so that's just a name. Rumble, yes, this was compatible with the Game Boy Color Rumble Pack, which I guess in those days it was built into the cartridge, so it would have been a special cartridge. I had Pokemon Pinball, which had a similar thing, and it just means that it's like twice the volume of a normal cartridge. It's got a huge thing sticking out the top, and space for a AAA battery to go in and make Rumblies, but we're not going to have that this time, unfortunately. And much like with New York Race, you only have one racer to start with, and it's this little dweeb played by Jake Lloyd, doing a capable performance in the film, I must say. He really should have been 12. Anyway. Yes, the Radon Ultra 620C racing engine. Excellent. Yes, customized and tuned by one Mr. Skywalker himself. Oh, Andoria. Oh no, Ando Prime. Let's not cross universes now. Oh, okay, so each one's a one-on-one. Gaza, Barunda. Let's start with the classic. The Boonta Eve Classic on Tatooine. And we're versing Teemto Pagali's classic racer. So yeah, these are one-on-one. They're one lap. And they're also a top-down kind of setup. But we're not going to be spinning around. Oh, that's cute. Look at that. No, that's not too bad. It doesn't run quite as smoothly as New York Race, I must admit. Let me see. So I have a brake button and a turbo button. This turbo just seems to be accelerate, but okay. Maybe holding both is turbo. Apparently this game doesn't have music in the stages, it's just engine noise. Which reminds me, I should have tried the just engine noise mode in New York Race, but I do prefer having some music. I guess that's not an option here. That Jewel of the Fates awesome chiptune is limited to just the title screen, apparently. Come on, Teemto. Ah! Yes. Gotcha. Teemto. What were those... what was that little guy's name in The Force Awakens who was riding on that cyber beast who tried to take BB-8? I think that was Tito. Yes, you know the Star Wars universe. Cool! First place. Ooh, that's a very nice jingle. So that's a good time to bring up that this game was developed by Pax Softnica, a Japanese company who you might know as having assisted on Mother 1 and 2. They also did games relevant to given and my interests at DK Gerda, namely Wrecking Crew 98 and Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy. They also did Balloon Kid, which I've played on stream before. Okay, where do I pick my racer? Not there, apparently. I wanted to play as Teemto, but oh well, that's fine. We'll be Anakin one more time. Oh, much like Andoria, Ando Prime is an icy world. Okay, so slide parameter. Cool. As for the console version, it was released on the 64, the Dreamcast, and the computer, and was developed by LucasArts themselves, indeed. The LucasArts, on behalf of Lucasfilm. Dude, I'm so much faster than this guy. It's because of my souped up pod. Wasn't Anakin supposed to be the fastest pod ever built? I don't know, seems far-fetched to me. So I was looking up all the different races that you can unlock in this game. And I think it said that the Game Boy Color version has all the same races as the console version, although they might not have some of the secret races. I'm not sure. There's codes you can enter that sort of replace some of the character models with different ones that, I don't know whether they were half finished or something, and then just put it in as a secret cheat code or something. Oh, the ice. Why would something floating above the ground be affected by ice physics? And why am I going backwards? Okay, cool. Let's go. That really does make no sense. I don't know, maybe the repulsor lifts that are under the pod are affected by the surface that they're going over. You know, like a hoverboard, they don't work on water unless you have power. I don't know. I feel a little bit dirty referencing Back to the Future, because it's one of those big cultural movies that I personally was never really that into, or was part of my, you know, childhood, cherished childhood memories. But, you know, it's fine. It's a thing that exists. Yeah, I think we're nearing the end. No, I guess not. I guess we are. Okay, cool. Yeah, didn't win that one. Oh well. Bobinate asking, is anyone else hearing a low beep, or is it just me? That might be just the engine noise. Let me see if there's any, like, sound on or off. Yeah, that's really all there is. Because the console version had, like, a turbo boost feature, much like F-Zero again. It doesn't seem to be present in this one as much. It's just stop and go. But yeah, it might just be the persistent background noise. Sorry, we need to introduce where we are and what we're doing. Barunda! Bullseye Navior! What weird alien are we facing today? It's this guy. So that was a bit of crowd noise. There's a low rumble that's sort of our engines. And now there's a more high-pitched whine of the engines in full operation. There was a repetitive beeping noise before, which I think was the result of... Oops! Yeah, okay, that. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. I don't know what that is telling me exactly. It's not that I have low health, because... Ah! Okay, so if you hold A and B together, you go slower, but you actually recover health. And now that yellow light is flashing, I don't know what that means. So it's in miles per hour for some reason. Don't they use the metric system in a galaxy far, far away? Not sure. I wonder if Carla would know. I like this. They do try and give you some differences in the courses, depending on what planet you're on. Yeah, what is that beep? Oh. Yeah, I remember crashing and dying a lot on the console version too. The damage mechanic was more sophisticated there, where different parts of your pod would take different amounts of damage. Oof. Yes. Pretty harsh. Okay, well again, I'm not sure how many first place entries I'll be able to do here, but I'll play through the planets that are here and then maybe move on. So, yes, Odi Mandrell here on Mon Gaza. He's the guy with the ears. Oh, I recognize that pod design, if not the man himself. I remember Sebulba blows it up, I think. I do remember it exploding. Yeah, so I was looking up all the races that are available. There's a lot of wacky aliens with dumb names, of course, because it's Star Wars. That is always the case. Yeah, so the yellow light's flashing. If I go off the throttle, it stops flashing. If I press B, I also slow down and it stops flashing. If I hold B and A for a while, it just holds steady. But the beeping is still going. Once again, perhaps I should have read the manual. You can stop, I don't know why you would want to. Very antithetical to the concept of pod racing, I must say. Okay. So I noticed that the beeping was... the timing of the beeping was sort of synced to the second place indicator that was flashing above the time function, but... okay. When the opponent is on screen, I guess they don't see that it's necessary to have that placing indicator because it's obvious since there's only two of us. But I wonder if the beeping stops when I'm in first place. It's been a while since I was in first place, so I don't remember. Stupid beeping. Whoops. Yeah, I do enjoy these handheld versions of larger games. You would know that if you've seen my streams before. I often opt for the low spec version. As long as it's a different game, you know. If it's just a lower spec port or conversion of a game that's the same in all other ways, it's less interesting to me, but this is clearly quite a different experience to the home console. Oh! Why did he start pulling ahead like that? Maybe I do have a turbo boost. Select? No. Oh well. It's another one in loser second place. Alright. I guess we'll switch back to Anakin for the last one. He's fine. So, Malastare, and we're not facing Sebulba on his home planet, apparently, because he's a Dug. Or even, what's the name of the Gran who's... You see him, I think he blows up in the movie as well. Yeah, Grans and Dugs for some reason share Malastare. I don't really know why. Maybe one of them was a... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Dudbolt. He's a large nose alien guy. And yeah, I do keep saying guy and he because I was looking up a list of all the races that are in this game, and they're all dudes. And so then I was like, wait, are there no lady pod races? So I went looking, and I did quite a deep dive into Wikipedia. All of the races that are okay, there's a few kind of background races in the movie, but all the ones that we know, you know, a significant amount about them are male in the film. All the ones in this game are male. There is one female pod racer in the sequel to this game, Star Wars Racer Revenge, where Anakin circa Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, goes undercover in a pod racing tournament for some reason. So you've got adult Jedi Anakin doing pod racing, and they bring back a lot of the characters from the first game and introduce some new ones. So there's a character who's kind of a big blue crocodile alien kind of thing, called Nire Dark, Knire, and she is a female alien of her species, and that's the only like female pod racer that's represented in a let me see, in a visual motion medium. Because there's also one in a novel that's like a follow-up to the Coruscant Nights novels, It's called The Last Jedi, which was confusing for me at first. It was released in 2013. So it's not the film The Last Jedi. It's a book about a renegade Jedi. But he has a friend who's a pod racer, who's a lady, a human. And they mention... oh yeah, and her name is Sasha Swiftbird. And they mention someone called Labo Nelik in another novel as being an example of a racer who exploded spectacularly, and she was female as well. So that makes 3 professional pod racers in the entire franchise, as far as I can tell. Apart from that, Ahsoka Tano does, much like Anakin in Racer Revenge, she enters a pod racing tournament in disguise to track down some separatist whatever thing in a Clone Wars comic. So that's a visual medium as well, so that's why I've made that distinction. But yeah, between anything that's, you know, voice and motion visual thing, so games and films and stuff, there's only the one in Racer Revenge who's female. So yeah, much like the Star Wars franchise in general, it is a real sausage fest. Oh, okay, so since we've beaten Dudball, we can go to a second stage. Interesting. Didn't notice that before on Tatooine, but let's try that now. So there's a second race on each planet, I guess, or at least one more, maybe another. Let's use our newly unlocked race, because I did just squeak in first place there. So we'll be Dudbolt against Bozzy Baranta. Oh, Bozzy Baranta. I read about this guy. So this is sort of a misspelling of a character a background character that was in the film. It was like Bozzy Barada. And then they kind of fleshed it out and made a character model for him in the game. So this is sort of a character that's unique to the game. Yes. So, like I was saying, there are not enough women in Star Wars, and that is definitely the case in the pod racing scene. Now, Gibbon is saying... What? That's so stupid. Gibbon says he remembers reading that they almost called Force Awakens Shadows of the Empire. Did they not know that was already like a huge multimedia thing in the 90s with the video games and the comics and the toy line and the soundtrack? That was probably the biggest non-film Star Wars thing that they ever did, I think. Shadows of the Empire. He goes on to say, to be fair, that would have been a much better name for the film, but also would have upset a ton of people and caused major brand confusion. Yeah, it's interesting. Because, yeah, Shadows of the Empire, clearly First Order is just the Empire again. But they don't really talk about the Empire too much in the film. I don't know, it's odd. But yes, would have been confusing, I think. A little too confusing. You can take the name of, you know, a novel, The Last Jedi, and that's not as big a thing. Shadows of the Empire was a huge thing. I feel like you really can't get away with that. Even if none of it is quote-unquote canon anymore. W/E. I do like, again, I'm going to bring up Gibbons' headcanon that in Rogue One, the other prisoner who is in the back of the prisoner transport with Jyn, when she gets freed by... is Forrest Whitaker there, or... did she see him later? Anyway, it's his guys, I think. Oh no, it's Rebels, because by that time he's gone rogue. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the Rebel Alliance who rescues her. Anyway, the guy who is sitting there with manacles on and says, "What about me?" The idea that he is Dash Rendar because he has a similar jacket shoulder pad thing going on. I liked that idea, and it informed my reading of Shadows of the Empire. When I read the comics and the novel and all that stuff, I've tried to read Dash's voice with that kind of Cockney accent whenever he came up, even though that's not the voice he has in the games or anything. He's just like bland American action man. He's really just a Han Solo replacement in many ways, but I found it fun to read his voice as that. Yeah, no, we didn't win that time. Oh well. Yeah, look at his outfits. That's good. He would have loved if that was Dash Rendar. Do they actually name him in the film or the novelization or whatever? Who knows? Given talking about concept works for The Force Awakens, Darth Talon is in some of the early concept art as they considered adapting Legacy. Wow. So Darth Talon, I believe, is the Red Twi'lek Sith person who famously George Lucas visiting the development studio of a never-released Darth Maul video game. They had an action figure of Maul and of Darth Talon, and he picked them both up and said, "Oh, they're friends. You gotta put her in the game now." And they're like, "Oh, how do we... what?" There's hundreds of years separating these people. Yeah, what are you gonna do? So this is Arc Bumpy Roos. Since I realized that we unlocked this extra mode, I'm gonna go back and do this, but after that we'll have seen everything, I guess, unless I manage to get first here and maybe unlock another thing. But let's fit as much Star Wars chat as we can during this race. So pod races, pretty dumb, huh? There was an episode of the Freemaker Adventures, which was a Lego series. It's a television series with full length like seasons, 2 of them. It just happened to be all modeled in Lego. It had new characters and some returning characters as well, like Dengar was a minor antagonist. Yeah, but it's a really fun show. They even put the Freemaker family and some of the other characters into Lego The Force Awakens, the video game, which is a great game. They were a DLC character pack. Alright, time out for a minute. Notice I'm in first place and there is no beeping. So I wonder if the beeping is there just to tell you that you're in second and that you're losing. In which case, I hate it. That's really annoying. That's a bad idea. Considering the rest of the soundscape is just engines revving. Yeah, not the best audio experience in this game, I must say. Please use more Jewel of the Fates in chiptunes next time, because that's rad. Oh, back of the stands. Yeah, we actually won. Bob's saying maybe it didn't come from the game. It's gone now. Maybe it was me. Ah well, who knows. Maybe it was your alarm telling you to wake up. That's right. Wake up. Gosh, that was one of my favorite episodes of Futurama. Where... well, now I don't want to spoil it, but they say wake up a few times and it's pretty interesting. Anyway, oh, Mohonic! He's the Gran. Yeah, there you go, the 3-eye guy? Like, goat face guy? Yeah. That's the other race that inhabits Malastare. They do go to Malastare during the Clone Wars. Yeah, that was a silly episode. They capture the giant monster and then they bring it back to Coruscant. And it does like a kaiju rampage around the city. Pretty interesting. But it was in the early seasons because it formed part of the basis for... it was in the video game. There's also a Lego Clone Wars game, which is also quite good, but not as good as Force Awakens. But yeah, there's a level based on that. Mostly vehicles, one of the strategy levels. Oh, I need my energy back. I don't want to blow up. Yeah, the beeping is definitely synced to that number indicator. Yeah, that sucks. I don't like it. What was I saying? Anything important? Probably not. Oh, the Freemaker Adventures. Great show. But yeah, there's a pod racing episode in that. They live in a space station called the Wheel, I think it's called, which is not unique to the show. I think it comes from some other medium, but I don't remember which, you know, what Star Wars spin-off came up with it. But anyway, they apparently do illicit pod racing races around the rim of the station, like in the underground. It was like there's 3 tiers to society, and they do them in the lowest levels of the station. There's just really cramped corridors, and they drive them around. And what happens? Is it Xander does a race or something? It's probably Rowan, because he's a force-sensitive guy or whatever. He's very much the Anakin Skywalker of the show. Okay, I lost. So we've now played every stage available to us. Unless I do better in any of them, but I'm not going to. So I guess we're done here with episode 1 Racer. That was a pretty cool little game. Yeah. There's not much going on during the races, it's just driving and trying not to crash. But it's fine for what it is. Just want to listen to a little bit of Duel of the Fates. Huh, this is sort of repeating one refrain over and over again. Maybe read the title screen. Ooh, key change. This might be the best part of the game. Alright, it's repeating now. Oh, it's not. There's a lot to this. Thank you, John Williams. It's one of the better parts of the movie, actually, as well. The score, the soundtrack. Oh, okay. Demo mode, apparently. Can only listen to Duel of the Fates for so long. Alright. So, yeah. I do have more games to play, so let's move on. What was next? Yeah, the next 2 are kind of linked in a way. But I'll get to that in a minute. Wonder if the censors will pick up that copyrighted music. Alright, so here we are, San Francisco Rush 2049. This is an installment in the San Francisco Rush series. Yeah, the company who makes it is called Handheld Games. Very original name, guys. Like, really well done. Super great name for a studio. Although it does describe what they do pretty well. Actually, I haven't been talking about when these games come out, but they're all around 2000, so 2001, 99. The following 2 are from the year 2000. But yeah, they made mostly handheld games, so I guess it makes sense in a way. All right, options, very important. Let's go to Mario Kart Tour style. Just so we get through them quicker. Yeah, 9 tracks, wow. Wonder if we'll be able to see them all today. Let's find out by going to 1. 3rd place unlocks track 2. Very generous. Not like the other 2 games I played where I had to come first. So, we're playing futuristic racing games set in the future, so which of these is the most futuristic? It's gotta be this one. These look like Hot Wheels cars. Rush. Is this San Francisco? Is this what it looks like in 30 years time? Or upon release, about 50 years time? Gosh, that makes this 20 years old. Now I feel old. Blech. Anyway, this is pretty cool. The pace is a little slower than the other ones, which means you have more time to react to stuff. I like that. The perspective is isometric, which makes it more like something like, again, I'm going to go with a rare example, Pro-Am 64, I believe. No, not 64. That was Diddy Kong Racing, and it never happened. RC Pro-Am and Super RC Pro-Am and RC Pro-Am X, I think, are the 3 installments. But anyway, yeah, instead of top-down, it's isometric angle perspective, but a similar sort of thing where you're moving your car, the orientation of the track stays the same. Yeah, cool. Oh man, even in 20 years time, America is still going to be using the Imperial system with miles per hour. Jeez. Get on the metric train, guys. Toot toot. Given was talking about the logo for this game, it looks suspiciously like a slightly altered Marvel 2099 font logo. Given's a big fan of Spider-Man 2099, which is fair enough. Ooh, I got a thing. Ooh. It's not all flat. There was a drop. That's exciting. So yeah, San Francisco Rush is a whole series of racing games. I remember them from the pages of N64 Gamer magazine. But I guess some of them also had handheld versions. So this game was a... Yeah, it was a release... it was actually in the arcades, but also had a home console port for the 64 and Dreamcast again. Oh, what did I... 5th place? Dude. Madtown. Oh, that's cute. That kind of doubles as like a name for the track, but also the password that you enter. Maybe? Because it says code. Maybe this doesn't save to the card? Is code maybe just, like to make it seem more futuristic, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, so the console version was done by a company called Midway Games West, although before being acquired by Midway, they were known as Atari Games Corporation. The sound cut out for a bit there, I don't know, but it's back, that's good. So yeah, this is part of the whole Atari mess, where Atari was a company, they kind of went bankrupt, all their stuff was bought by Midway, who then rebranded themselves as Atari. And I think that happened a second time, and then Infogrames, I forget the chronological order, but anyway, Atari, it's very complicated. But this is part of that whole thing. A lot of Midway logos around on the track. Advertising within the game, that's fun when that happens. Rare did that a lot as well. Code Fat City, golly. Fat City. I talked about Fat City on a stream. That was a game that my friend had on a 5¼ floppy disk for his ancient computer, where you were in charge of a demolition wrecking ball. That was fun. What stream was that? Talking about old computer memories. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the description of it, but I don't remember what stream it was exactly. Ugh. Can I just not get stuck on a corner, please? I like that there's sort of branching paths in these tracks. Sometimes you can go different ways. It's nice. But yeah, let's sort of judge how futuristic-y this is. There's glowing, flashing arrows on the road. That's probably a future thing. The buildings, they look pretty normal. I guess San Francisco is more of a metropolis in the future than it is in the present. Gosh, I'm in 11th place. How can I be doing so badly? Oh yeah, this is an arcade racer, of course. I just noticed that the whole checkpoint thing where the announcer, and yes, there's voice samples in this game, again, pretty impressive. Yeah, it's the whole timer thing, because it's an arcade racer. If you don't get to the next checkpoint in time, you fail out. But if you do, you get more time added on. If you've ever played a racing game in an arcade, you're familiar with this system, but the fact that it's here and even a Game Boy Color port, it's just sort of leaning into it as part of the identity of the series, I guess. Yeah, cool stuff. I didn't actually write down anything else that Midway Games West had done, but you know, they're the Atari people. Or at least one of the Atari studios. Oh, that jump is really cool. It makes it feel exciting even on the Game Boy. Although, do you think that the cars are sort of clashing with the art style the rest of the game? Because the backdrops and the scenery have black outlines, but the cars don't. I like the look of the cars with the no outlines, but it doesn't exactly match the rest of it. Yeah, give me that boost. Yeah, baby. Whoa! Okay, third place is not good enough at this division. I need to get second at least. Yeah, I feel like the console version maybe leans more into the, or you know, has the visual ability to represent futuristic aesthetics more. There's probably lots of glowing lights and stuff. Alright, cool, we got the next track. Frisco. Nice. That's what the locals call it, you know. They call it Frisco. Rush. Ugh. Gosh, there are a lot of Midway logos. Okay, this looks a lot more futuristic. I like this. I want it to be sci-fi and stuff. That's the whole point. That's why I'm playing it. But yeah, it's a cool idea for a direction to take the franchise, which up till then had been all contemporary games. There were all these San Francisco Rush games. Maybe there were some that were outside San Francisco, but Rush was a consistent part of the title. I don't remember. But yeah, taking it from, you know, oh, you're in a city, you're driving approximately real cars, and turning it into sci-fi is like really fun and exciting to me. I think that's a cool idea. It sometimes confuses me when I go under another bit of the road and I feel like I have to turn. Ugh. But I think when you're in a tunnel you're prevented from crashing, which is nice and merciful. I do like the slightly slower pace of the game. It lets you react to things better. And it also makes the boost feel a lot faster when you get one. From jumps. Awesome. 11th place. I feel like I'm not gonna catch up at this point. Oh well. Gibbon says, futuristic racing games are always kind of neat in that they all go for the same general dingy sci-fi look. Do you think they all go for that look? Dingy. I don't know, because I think there are some at least that go for a really slick kind of maybe Tron-inspired look. There's a lot of F-Zero clones, and some of them are a bit more leaning towards that than others. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of dingy stuff out there as well. Can we beat this? I feel like I still have to pick this car every time because all the other ones kind of seem a little boring to me. They really look like normal cars. This one looks strange, and it's maybe something you would see in a kind of experimental, what do they call them? Concept cars. Yeah, you know how companies do like a fancy weird car sometimes. Why is 11th last place? What kind of race has 11 participants? It should be 12, right? I don't know. And why does the music keep cutting out? Yeah, now that I pay attention to it, it's sort of swapping between engine noise and music, which, you know, it's a limitation of the Game Boy thing. We've seen this already. Star Wars did just engine noises. New York Race had as an option, engine or music. I'm trying to figure out when's the point that it swaps to music and why. Is it when I go past the checkpoint? Is it sort of a jingle that happens when I pass a checkpoint, maybe? Yeah, it seems that way. Oh, I'm just crashing too much and I lose all my speed and then I can't catch up. Stuck in 11th. That's my life. Yeah, that's it. It just plays a jingle when you get checkpoint. It's cool. It's a kind of a good compromise, I guess. If, again, you're going to have these sound limitations and you need to pick one, that's kind of a good way to do it. Well, I managed to pass one racer and get in at 10th. Well, I know the last game isn't going to take too long, so in order to extend the length of this game, I'm going to look up passwords. Although before I do... Oh. Save state. Because there's codes. That makes me think that there's passwords I can enter. Yeah, password. It's right there. But maybe I could do a time attack. Ah, still locked. Okay. Looking up the codes. Looking up the codes. Ooh, faster starting speed, increased handling. Oh, I'm totally entering all these codes. Ha 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 ha. Okay, faster starting speed, more gas, rush. I wonder if I can only have one at a time. Oh, okay. There's turbo pickups and handling pickups, so grip gives you better handling. Like, that's what the, I guess the wrench pickup was. Special mode? What's special mode? I want that. So I'm going to enter increased handling, and just in case only one is active at once, I will enter special mode last. Get grip. Okay, so now for special mode, knock talk. Rush. So who knows what that means. But I do also have track passwords here. Oh yeah, I am faster. Oops. I still crash a lot, that's on me. Nothing the game can do about that. So, I don't know what special mode is, but... Is my handling better? Yeah, I think it might be. So, if I can't win with these cheats on, then I will start entering track passwords. I'm disappointed by the car selection in this game. It should be more futuristic. Maybe 2049 wasn't far enough. Maybe they should go, you know, the full Marvel 2099. Go real crazy with it. Okay, that turbo pickup didn't load properly. I guess there were too many other car sprites on the screen. You know, I said it felt faster at the start, but looking at my speeder right now, it's stuck on 108, which was what I was doing before at my maximum. So I guess that speed cheat, if it worked, doesn't affect your overall top speed. It did say increase starting speed, so maybe it just gives you better acceleration. Ah! Out of control. Wait, what? I was in second place and then suddenly I was fourth. Yes, I'm rewinding that. Second place, but there was definitely 2 cars ahead of me. Maybe one was lapping at the back? I don't know, whatever. Gibbon says, thank you for reminding me tangentially that Marvel is in the middle of a Spider-Man 2099 event, which includes an actual Fantastic Four 2099 team. Interesting. Is that anything to do with the Future Foundation that I remember reading about? Oh, this is a Gasworks, by the way. Maybe a bit more industrial. Yeah, this looks pretty dingy sci-fi. I like it though. I never said I didn't like that. A red gutter. Yeah, jump. Maybe I picked the wrong car. My top speed seems to be lower than a lot of other ones. I have to rely on getting those turbo pickups or taking the corners really well. You know, all those racing skills. Yeah. Ow. Huh. I think I actually crashed inside a tunnel there, contradicting my earlier statements. Ah. Too much turbo. Alright, come on. Red gutter. Ah. Focus time. No. Ah, I missed the turbo. Oh well, second place should still get me the unlock. No, Future Foundation is not really connected to 2099. Oh well. New track. Skyways. Oh, that sounds cool. Skyways was a really fantastic part of Echo 2 Tides of Time. But I feel like this is not going to be anything like that. Yeah, it looks very much like that one I was stuck on before, actually. Oh well. Still good, like I said, this is the most futuristic of the backgrounds as far as I could tell. Neck and neck. I I really feel like I picked a bad car. But I'm stuck with it now. I made my choice. There's no way I'm switching. It's a matter of principle. I'm playing futuristic games. I must be the most futuristic car. Also, it's purple, and I like purple. Why would I pick yellow when I can have purple? Come on. Well, I was in Yellow House at school, both primary and high school. Different schools. Doesn't mean I have to associate myself with that color. It's just a weird coincidence that it was both times. I guess for the 3 months that I lived in Malaysia and attended an international school, I was in Greenhouse. Don't remember the name of it. I was in year 3 at the time. 8 years old. That was a strange chapter of our lives, wasn't it? Whoa. That's cool. The camera can't even keep up with your speed using a turbo. Nice. Ugh. Wow. Even by advancing tracks, we're getting repeated aesthetic themes here, which is a little disappointing. I was hoping they would go even more crazy with the sci-fi. And that we might see that by advancing more. So that was Skyways. Third place doesn't get us a new one. 7, 8, and 9 are left. I can tell from the codes coming up. The next one is Industrial, so that'll probably be similar to the Gasworks one. Level 8 is Neo Chicago. Chicago? Let's see what that one is. I'll enter that password. Whoops. Level 9's password is Riptide, which is kind of interesting. Neo... Actually, if I enter Riptide, that should unlock all those ones, right? Tried to hold right, but no, you gotta press right a bunch of times. Okay, let's go. What is what? Darn it. Maybe it just works for time attack. What? Okay, it just unlocks Riptide. Fine. We won't see what Neo Chigo is. Not this time. This... Oh, this is different. Whoa. Okay. This has fall off edges. Oh no, only if you go for a jump. Okay. It's an animation I haven't seen before. I like the background though. That murky water. Very moody. Oh no. The camera just can't keep up. This is a cool course. Lots of jumps. Not too narrow. But I see that we've been going on this for half an hour, which is just about the same amount of time I've spent on all the other games, so... Since we don't have any competition here, it's not so exciting, is it? But at least I've seen what Riptide is. Okay, real quick, I'm so curious about Neo Chigo. Nope. Ugh. Can't you just delete a character? Neo... It can't be Chicago, because this is supposed to be San Francisco. That's the whole idea. Oh, hang on. Just double check though. Yeah, you do unlock it. Okay. I just wasn't using my eyes properly, I guess. You do unlock the full race mode if you enter that code. So what is Neo to go? I guess it's a city. Ooh, sign. I like that. So much midway plugging. Ooh, strings of lanterns? Is this Chinatown? Are we back in Chinatown? I'm pretty sure San Francisco has one of those too. But we just were in one of those in New York, you know. There's no Chinatown planet in Star Wars there. So no opportunity there. Ah, heck, you know, the expanded universe is a big place. I don't know if I can say definitively that there is no Chinatown planet. What? I guess I fell off? Didn't really look like it. Ah! Yeah, we're actually doing pretty well in position stakes. Trying to get another look at a sign. I enjoy the signs. No dice. Oh, still on lap 1. Was that the same place? It wasn't. Somehow I'm coming in 4th though, which is interesting. That I can be doing so well. Oh! Huh. I guess I wasn't doing that well. I ran out of time. Oh well. Before we move on, I didn't actually cover handheld games as other works. I've played one of them before. Portal Runner on the Game Boy Color I played last year sometime. Early last year, I think. That was the spin-off of the Army Men series where I was playing Vicky Grimm with her bow and arrow. And I rode a lion sometimes, or did I just transform into a lion? I'm not quite sure. You definitely ride one in the console version. Anyway, they also did a port of Centipede for the TigerGame.com, which is a really stupid name for a console that is hard to search for. But the Game.com was a black and white handheld system that had not many games, and it failed pretty quickly. But yeah, Centipede I played during my 80s women developed games showcase, because the very first instance of Centipede, the original game, was co-created by one of the early female game developers in the field. So that's it. That is it for San Francisco Rush 2049. So the last thing that I'm going to play today, I'll tell you all about it as soon as I've changed the window over, because I always change the window over and I never ever forget. Okay, so this is a game that in fact is licensed by Nintendo, did you know? And it's another Midway game. I guess this is something of a sister franchise to San Francisco Rush. It's the Cruisin' series. This installment is called Cruisin' Exotica. Now technically it's not exactly futuristic, but it tends to, it's included more fantastical tracks, and at least one of them is in space, so that's the justification I'm using here. Oh, easy. That is a good help actually, by defaulting to that. That gives me an excuse to use it. Why are there... I don't know what the difference is between these three. Ugh, okay. Oh no, it's an advancement thing again. Hold on a second. There wasn't a password system, was there? Yes, there is. Okay. Let me see. Well, the other games haven't taken so long, so I guess I'll play through. The space one is right at the end of the game though, so I guess I'll just play a little bit to get acquainted with it. Maybe see what the rest of the game is like. But yes, we will be going to space eventually. That's why I'm playing this today. Not exactly futuristic, but let's try and pick the most futuristic of these cars. This one looks old-timey, if anything. That's kind of normal. That one's got kind of jet boosters on the back. That's also old-timey. The Switchblade. Invader. Rumbler. Mark IV. Yeah, I'll pick the Vapor because I think those are rocket boosters. Who cares about stats? I'm just picking cars based on look. Ooh, okay. So here we have represented another kind of view for a racing game. And like we were talking about before, it's a behind the back view. Which is always interesting to see how they've done it on different consoles. Of course, on the Game Boy Color, you really don't have the power that other consoles do, but this is actually pretty good as far as this style goes. It's not terrible. I've played worse games in this style on stream before. So this is kind of the pseudo Mode 7 kind of sprite scaling and everything, but I think they're doing a decent job at it. Mainly by like blurring everything. But there is some up and down movement too, which is always impressive for this style as well, for these kinds of systems. I think the game that did that best was probably Rayman Kart for mobile phones. Although that does use polygonal graphics, so it's not quite the same thing. It's sort of a mix of the two. There's sprite scaling and 3D polygons. But this is pretty good. This is impressive. So yeah, we've seen top down, we've seen isometric, and now we got behind the back. And especially interesting because of Cruisin' and Rush being, I guess, related in some way. I don't really know. They're both Midway, but this was around the time of the Atari acquisition by Midway, so it's possible that was a legacy property that got incorporated. I don't really know. Didn't research enough. I honestly thought I would be spending more time with New York Race and possibly episode 1 as well, so I didn't research the other two quite as much, but I can tell you about Crawfish Interactive. They're also the people behind those abysmal tie-in games for Godzilla the Animated Series that spun off from the 1998 American Godzilla movie. The Game Boy Color games, there's 2 of them, are really, really bad. So, but you know, maybe that doesn't reflect too much on Crawfish's skills, because this is a decent enough game. They also did a Robot Wars game on Game Boy Advance, and a ton of other stuff, but that's all I wrote down. And the console version of this was not an arcade game, it was on the 64 and Dreamcast. Names that are coming up a lot this stream, because it's all around the same era. Okay, I'm gonna look up passwords now, since I failed already. Exotica. A potentially problematic word. Oh man, no cheats. No cheats on GameFAQs. I'll have to look harder. Let's go back to the title screen. Oh, okay, I'll restart that. Cruisin' Exotica. GBC passwords. Midway and the M in a circle design are copyright. Help me A2Z web links. GameShark codes, that's not what I want. No, not the 64 version. Okay, we're not doing too well with the results here. You mean I'm not gonna get to go to Mars? Dang it. Why is Safrisco Rush 2049 so much more popular than Cruise and Exotica? Why, I ask you, why? Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. There's no codes online. I don't know, is there a long play that shows you the passwords? Doop-a-doop-doop-doop-a-doop-doo. Let's just listen to this rockin' tune a little bit longer, shall we? Oh, the demo mode. Is that... Was that one of the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur? That's a famous tower design right there. I'm just trying to think of what it is. It's not a Petronas. No, it's not. What is it? I'm not sure. All the YouTube videos are around 5 minutes long. That doesn't help me. Oh, where's this? Somewhere snowy. Okay, what can I do about this? I can just play really well, but it'll take too long to get to space. Maybe I'll cross my fingers and hope space turns up on demo mode. So from what I read, you go to various locations all over the world. Actually, I will find this, read it as written. From exotic locales, Korea, Ireland, Tibet, and cities, Hong Kong, Las Vegas, to far-out fantasy worlds, Atlantis, a prehistoric jungle, Mars. They have been redesigned to fit the 2D engine, which uses an Outrun style perspective. None of the extravagant jumps and drops of the original. Oh, that's disappointing to read. Given saying, another dingy future. Yes. Except this time it's our dingy present. I assume Mars is going to be like just the way it is. Rocky, red. Sort of like in Blast Corps when you get to go to other planets. That was a weird feature of that game, but fun. What else can I do right now? Yeah, maybe I'll call Stream Shot. Yeah, we didn't get to Mars, but oh well, we're done. Thanks for joining me. This was pretty fun. It's my last little no platformer November installment. I got to stretch my wings a little bit and play some different genres, some of which I am shockingly horrid at, and some of which I had fun with. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this journey. And next week actually, I won't... Is that the Chinese flag? That tower looks familiar, dang it. Anyway, next week I won't be here. I'm moving house, so lots of stuff going on there. No time to stream. But the following few weeks, I do have some themes lined up. I'll be playing new games in retro styles, and there's some exciting things to look forward to there. But till then, I hope you have a lovely time and enjoy yourself. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Goodbye.